Good morning, everybody, and welcome to core and pelvic floor class with me, Hannah. This is week 4 of our series on core and pelvic floor, where we learn about what the pelvic floor is, what it does, and how to make it do those things better. We're going to focus on breath work and strengthening that pelvic floor and that core area. So today, we don't really need equipment for this class, but you should know that a lot of the exercises, in fact, all of them today, will be on the ground. We will talk about the safe way to get up and down from the floor, but if it's not appropriate for you to be on the floor, if that's not something you're comfortable with, feel free to watch along and receive all the education, but know that our exercises will be on the ground. Some additional information about the exercises today: we will do a lot on our knees, on hands and knees, so in an all-fours position. I have an extra bit of padding here because my knees don't like to be on the hard floor, and even with the rug that I'm working on, I find it's not enough cushion for me, so I have my yoga mat behind me. You might want to use a cushion underneath your knees, or maybe you're going to do the same and lay your yoga mat out on the rug for some extra padding for the knees. I think that's everything that you'll need. I always like to have my water with me, although we won't necessarily be moving too strenuously, not like a cardio class, but it's a nice idea to keep a drink nearby, just in case you need it. So no real equipment, but something to cushion your knees if you need it. Also, we will do one of our exercises, so our plank exercise, we'll be working on an incline. So you'll want something that you can use to rest your hands on that's higher than the floor. An exercise bench, for example, would be ideal. I don't have one, so I'm going to use the edge of my sofa just here. You might remember that from last week. Sofa, if you have a really sturdy footstool like what I'm sitting on right now, a hard kitchen chair that's not going to tip when you lean on it, anything like that will work to put you in an incline. But it's just for the one exercise. If you don't quite have that today, don't worry too much. All right, I hope I've already talked so much, so let me just have a drink and then let's begin. So this week we're going to talk about incontinence, which I'm sure is not everybody's first topic of conversation that they want to discuss. But if running a pelvic floor class and not talking about incontinence would be a miss. We've talked about the functions of the pelvic floor, and a big one is helping you with bathroom functions. Incontinence is going to affect between about 1 in 3 women during their lifetime. I'm afraid I don't have statistics for men. I imagine it will be similar, but there are some extra stresses that come with being a woman that can affect the pelvic floor. For example, childbirth, that really men don't have that equivalent, but obviously, but yeah, a lot of people are going to be affected by incontinence during their lifetime, and the pelvic floor clearly does play a big part in this. Now, there isn't just one type of incontinence. There are a few common types, which we will discuss. First of all, we have what's known as stress urinary incontinence. Now, this is a loss of urine when you laugh, when you cough, when you sneeze, run, jump, and etc. And this happens because the muscles and the tissues that support the bladder and the urethra become weakened. This is probably the one that I don't want to say that everybody has, but I feel like it's probably one of the most commonly accepted forms of incontinence, especially if you're a woman and you've given birth or been pregnant. This really is kind of sold to us as just what we're going to have to accept in life now. Like, now you've had children, every time you cough or sneeze, you're going to pee your pants. I want to stress that it doesn't have to be that way. And you can strengthen those pelvic floor muscles. We don't have to accept that just because we're of a certain age or that we've had children, that now when you sneeze, you're going to pee. It doesn't have to be that way. I feel quite strongly about that. Another kind, urge incontinence. That's when you get the really sudden, strong urge to visit the bathroom to pee, which can sometimes result in you leaking on the way. It can come at certain times, like when you get home, or if you're near a bathroom, your brain tells you, oh, I'm near a bathroom, I'm going to have to pee, and then you cannot stop it. Now, some of that is kind of psychological, feeling that you're near a bathroom and that you have to go. But obviously, if you have a stronger, better muscle control in that pelvic area, stronger control of those muscles, even feeling that mental urge, you should be able to control it better. There's mixed incontinence, which is a mix of both of those kinds. It's really common to experience both. And then overflow incontinence means your bladder isn't being emptied fully, and the urine can build up. Now, this kind of goes back to something that we talked about last week. Apologies if you didn't watch last week's class, but don't worry. We talked about or maybe it was the week before, we talked about the importance of relaxation of our pelvic floor. And when you go to the bathroom, I'm sorry, there's a lot of bathroom chat today, but kind of comes with the territory. When you go to the bathroom, what you don't want to do is try and pee as fast as possible. No speed peeing. Your body gets used to you, I'm trying to put it delicately, pushing it out, rather than just letting the urine flow naturally. And if your body is always used to you really forcing that flow of urine, it will become accustomed to that, and it can be harder to fully empty your bladder without having to bear down harder and harder and harder. So what we want to do is try and train yourself to not push when we urinate, just to relax. We can practice our relaxation, practice letting that pelvic floor relax. We talked about a flower blossoming. So try and think about that nice, gentle relaxation rather than like, I've got to pee as fast as possible. It's not a race. We can spend a couple of extra moments there just emptying naturally, and that is hopefully going to avoid this overflow incontinence, where if you don't empty your bladder fully because maybe you didn't push out those last little bits, it's going to build up, and yeah, your bladder will always be slightly full. So homework this week, let's practice relaxing on the toilet. Let's practice just being very nice and relaxed and just letting it flow naturally. Yeah, so despite us, so many women, so many people experiencing incontinence, it actually isn't a normal part of aging. It's sold to us, I feel, like as a normal part of aging, like, oh yeah, you're more than 40 now, you hit the menopause, now you're gonna pee when you cough, now you can never go on a trampoline. Wearing a pad for the rest of your life and accepting it as your new normal does not have to be your only option. Certainly being given confidence by wearing a pad is brilliant, it's really great. But we can also do things like these classes, like these exercises, to help us combat the problem in another way. So 3 daily habits that we have talked about all of these, but we're going to set them out in a little plan. We can adopt these 3 daily habits to help with the prevention or improvement of incontinence. Number 1 is alignment, which we've talked about every class. We talk about alignment when we talk about our connection breath. So if you remember, we always talk about aligning our rib cage over our hips. Good alignment helps your core, and poor alignment can actually weaken your core muscles over time and add extra pressure to your pelvic floor. Getting into that habit of good alignment can really help your pelvic floor to work effectively and not have to work too hard. So let's do a little alignment practice. There's going to be lots. I'm going to say lots of things. Move my chair out the way. We're going to come up to feet. I'm going to cut my head off here. Let me just tilt my camera up slightly. So let's come up to feet. I have my piece of paper close to me because I don't want to miss anything. So we want to stand with our feet hip width apart. So think about where your hips are, feet hip width apart. Toes are facing forwards. I often stand with my toes facing out, actually. So let's make sure we're standing with our toes facing forwards. We want soft knees. I talk about that a lot too. So a little bend in our knees. If I turn to the side, you can really see these are soft knees, not super straight knees. Can you see the difference? These knees are very straight and that's not comfortable. Soft knees. So feet hip width apart, toes facing forwards, soft knees. You want to shift your pelvis so that, technical world, your perineum is in the space between your ankles. Your perineum is, if you're a woman, it's the space between your vagina and your anus. If you're a man, it's the space behind your testicles, so between your testicles and your anus. It's that area, that flat skin area. That's your perineum. So you want to make sure that that is above the space of your ankle. So try and have a look down, try and visualize where that might be. I'm not, you don't need to get a hand up there, but you know, figure it out. Feel like where is that? Is it above the space above my ankles? Someone's jumping into the class. Okay, this is a great place to join. Yeah, you want to not be squeezing your bum. I talk about squeezing your bum quite often, but now is not a time to do it. So let's release our glutes. We don't want to be standing, you can't see me doing it, but you don't want to be standing with your bum clenched, with those glutes really tight. Release your glutes. So we're imagining blossoming like a flower. So nice and relaxed through that sitting area, through that bum. And yeah, if we're clenching all the time, it's going to add extra tension to your pelvic floor muscles. And obviously you don't want to be walking around with super tense pelvic floor muscles all of the time. We're going to check that our ribs are over our pelvis, and that think about your nipples pointing forwards rather than to the sky. So to the sky, you'd be leaning back, just forwards, straight forwards. What's next? Ears are over our shoulders, so we're not pushing our head forward. We don't have our head leaning back. Ears over shoulders. And then relax those arms down. So ears over your shoulders, nipples point forwards, rib cage over hips, perineum between that space, over that space between your ankles, rather. Relax those glute muscles, really let them be relaxed. Soft knees, toes pointing forward, feet hip width apart. I said it would be lots. It's lots of things. So stand like that and feel how that feels. It actually does feel a little different to how I would usually stand. So obviously I need to take my own advice and practice this every day. So feel that good alignment. You'll want to practice this. Maybe every morning, set yourself up, feel how this position feels, feel this good alignment. I think this is how I want to stand during the day. Where if there's time where, say, you're lining up, like at the grocery store, instead of just leaning on our cart and standing terribly or on one leg, let's think about setting ourselves up into that alignment and, you know, feeling strong in our posture, practicing that posture through our day, lining up, you know, anywhere, in a store, yeah, at the grocery store when you're lining up with your cart, practice this alignment, so we get into the habit and it becomes really easy. Connection breath practice. So we want to take a moment every day to practice those nice big belly breaths, expanding that rib cage and belly as you inhale, release your pelvic floor, contracting the pelvic floor as you exhale. We talked about finding our favorite position to do this, and we've done some on the floor, we've done some seated, we've done a little bit standing, and every day let's practice that. So take 10 to 20 really nice deep breaths, maybe first thing in the morning. A great time to do this when you're waiting for, say, the kettle to boil or the coffee to brew. for your first morning cup. Let's put ourselves in our alignment. Take those 10 to 20 breaths. So we're going to do that together. Let's get into alignment together. Feet hip width apart, toes pointing forward. Think about that perineum above the space between your ankles. Relax the glutes. I think that's one I really need to remember. Relax my glutes, rib cage over hips. What else? Nipples pointing forwards, looking up, ears over your shoulders. So we're going to stand like this. One hand on your rib cage, one hand on your belly. Let's imagine first thing in the morning, we're waiting for that coffee to brew, waiting for the kettle to boil for our morning tea. And we're going to take a big inhale. Rib cage and belly expand. And exhale, feel them sink away. Inhale. And exhale. Now let's think about that pelvic floor. As you inhale, that elevator lowers down. As you exhale, elevator picks back up. As you inhale, lower the elevator. As you exhale, pick up the elevator. Keep going with that breathing. Other things you can think about, opening the flower, letting that flower blossom, the petals unfurl. And exhale. That flower kind of folds up again. Inhale. The elevator lowers, exhale. Let's do one more. Perfect. And that's 10. We did 10 right there. That's for sure enough time for that coffee to brew, for the tea to steep. So yeah, really, I'm going to do it too. That's going to be my homework for the week. I'm going to commit to doing that every morning as I wait for the kettle to boil. I'm going to take a minute, put myself into alignment, think about all those things, and do my connection breath. So let's check in next week and make sure that we all did it. And another thing to think about is that breath work during the day. I'm just going to sit down again so you can see me a little bit better. So practicing that breath work, making time to do it once a day is really great, but we also want to get into the habit of making it part of everyday activities. So breath work through the day. We talked about this last week for sure, thinking about exhaling to exert and inhaling to prepare. So for example, a squat or a sit to stand is a great example. You're inhaling as you sit, preparing to stand, and then exhaling as you exert yourself and stand up. Some other things you can be doing to think about this, picking up the laundry basket. So you're inhaling to prepare yourself and then exhaling as you pick that basket up. So exhaling to exert, to exert, inhale to prepare. Picking up grocery bags, getting up off the chair is a great one. The laundry basket, really lifting is a big one. So yeah, trying to find those places where you can think, oh, I need to think about this before I stand up. I'm going to take a big inhale before I stand up because I've been sitting for a while. I'm going to exhale as I stand so my core is supported. Your pelvic floor will be so thankful. All right, I talked for much longer than I thought I was going to, but that's okay. I guess I had a lot to say. I feel like I always have a lot to say. All right, so we're going to do some exercises. I'm just going to move my mat a little bit so that I'm a little more central in the camera frame. Let's come down to feet and, down to all fours. Let's do that safely together. So step 1 foot forwards. I want you to take that back heel up off the floor. Lower that knee slowly to the ground. You see me hinging at my hips. Hands on either side of that front foot. Bring that back knee down. And the other down, and here we are in our hands and knees position. I'm just going to turn the angle so I'm facing you a little bit more. I don't have to keep turning my head so much. Hopefully everybody can see me okay. So here we are on all fours. Let's get into alignment here. So we want our hands directly underneath our shoulders. Hip to knee is a nice straight line. So not leaning forward like this and not leaning back. Can you see the difference there? Shoulder to hand, so hands directly under your shoulders. Hip to knee is a straight line. We're going to try some of our Kegel exercises, our connection breath right here. So let's take a nice big inhale. Rib cage and belly expand. And exhale. Think about the pelvic floor here. Inhale. Nice relaxation and exhale. Pick that pelvic floor up. This time, this next breath, we're going to hold that pelvic floor contraction for about 4 seconds. So we'll run through some Kegel exercises here. Nice big inhale. Relax, relax, relax. And then exhale. Pick that pelvic floor up and let's hold it contracted here for 1, 2, 3, 4. Inhale to relax. And exhale. The elevator comes up, 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 and hold it here for 1, 2, 3, 4. Inhale to relax. And exhale. Pick the elevator up, 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 and hold it here for 1, 2, 3, 4. Good. Inhale. Relax, 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 and exhale. And hold here for 1, 2, 3, 4. Good. And inhale again. And let's really find that relaxation. Think about relaxing through your glutes. Relaxing, opening that flower, letting those petals unfurl. Good. I find this position really good for thinking about that relaxation. All right, so let's do a couple of exercises. We're going to start with some donkey kicks. So we're here on all fours. We're going to take 1 foot at a time and lift up and the other. So we'll want to inhale and then exhale. Sorry, we want to inhale as we lift and exhale as we lower. So inhale up and then squeeze your bum. So squeeze through those glutes, exhale and pick up that pelvic floor as you lower down. So it's a squeezing movement, a squeezing exercise. Let's try these together. So let's inhale, raise that foot. Exhale, pick up that pelvic floor. Inhale. Exhale. Inhale. Relax. Exhale. Squeeze your bum. Inhale. Exhale. Squeeze your bum as you lower down. Inhale. Lift. Exhale. Squeeze. Inhale. Lift. Exhale. Squeeze. Inhale to lift up. Exhale. And squeeze and contract the pelvic floor. There's so many things, I know. Inhale, last one. Exhale, back down to center. Great. A similar movement here. Be aware it can be quite intense on the hips. So we're going to take our knee. You can just watch for the first one. Take our knee and lift out to the side. Just go as far as you can. It might be that you can't get that knee very high, and that's okay. Just try and bring it up off the floor. Again, we're going to inhale as we lift. Exhale. Squeeze through that glute and think about contracting that pelvic floor too as you bring the knee back in. So squeezing to bring everything in. Inhale as we open and relax. So it should be, it should make sense to do it that way. We'll alternate legs again and same thing. Let's inhale and lift. Exhale and squeeze. Inhale. exhale. Inhale, exhale. Inhale, lift and relax. Exhale, squeeze. Inhale. Squeeze and think about picking that pelvic floor up. Squeeze and contract. Inhale. Exhale. Inhale, last one. Exhale. Very good. Stay on all fours here. We're going to do an exercise that's called bird dog. I'll take my right hand and my left leg, and I'm going to reach both up to a straight line and back to center. And then same thing on the other side. Reach out with hand and opposite leg, and then back to center. Let's start. Think about that alignment, hands underneath shoulders, hip to knee in a straight line. We'll want to inhale as we stretch out and then exhale back to center. So think about exhaling, picking up the pelvic floor, squeezing through your glutes, so many things. Inhaling to relax, so inhaling to prepare. Here we go, big inhale as you reach forward. Exhale back. Inhale, relax. Exhale. Inhale. Exhale. Inhale, reach out. Exhale. Inhale, relax that pelvic floor. Exhale, squeeze. Inhale. Exhale. Inhale. Exhale. Last one. Inhale, relax. Exhale. Good. We're going to turn ourselves around onto our back now for a few. So walk your knees to one side. Let's sit down onto the one hip and turn yourself onto your back. Lying down nice and slowly. And feel yourself nice and relaxed on the floor here. Get comfortable. Let's think about alignment. Make sure your rib cage is in a straight line with those hips. We don't want to be forcing our low back to touch the floor because that's going to push your pelvis forwards. It's going to tip it forwards. Sorry, it's going to tip it backwards. The same thing, you don't want a big arch of that back because that tips that pelvis backwards. So, ribcage over hips, little space between your back and the back of the floor. Keeping those feet flat on the floor to start with. Let's inhale, stretch that leg out. Exhale, bring it back. Inhale, relax. Exhale, squeeze, pick up the pelvic floor. Inhale, exhale, contract. Inhale, relax. Exhale, contract. And we are moving really slowly, but that's okay. Sometimes there's a lot of merit in just slowing down. Inhale. Exhale. Inhale. Exhale. One more. Inhale. Exhale. Good. Let's pick our feet up now. So lifted those feet off the floor. Again, think about rib cage over hips. I had to adjust that. I was arching my back a little bit too much. So rib cage over hips in a nice straight line. So we will inhale as we lower. Exhale as we pick up. Inhale. Exhale. Inhale. Exhale. Relax. Contract. Relax. Contract. Relax. Contract. Relax. Contract. Good. Relax those feet down. And we're going to do one more on our back. We're going to do our bridge lift. So feet flat on the floor, ribcage over your hips, or in a straight line with your hips in this case. Our bridge lift, we're going to press down with our feet, push them into the mat, and lift your hips right up off the floor. As you lift, you'll want to squeeze your bums. So squeeze those glutes together. This is also where you'll exhale and, you guessed it, pick up that pelvic floor. Inhale as you relax your glutes, you relax your pelvic floor as you take that inhale, as you relax to the floor. So all the relaxing on the way down, all the contracting on the way back up. Inhale, lower. Exhale, lift. Inhale, relax the glutes, relax the pelvic floor. Exhale, contract them. Inhale, lower. Exhale, lift. Inhale, lower and relax. Exhale, squeeze, lift and contract. Inhale, all the way down. Let's do one more. Relax, relax, relax on that way down. Inhale and good. And relax again. Perfect. We're going to come up onto our front one more time. So let's walk those knees to one side. Roll over onto your side and push yourself up here. We're going to do a little bit of our plank work. So we'll want to find our incline. Just let me move my camera so there you can see the sofa that I'm going to use for my incline. So I'm going to walk my hands so they're here on the sofa and then push myself up. So I'm in an incline. You can see my hands are higher than my feet, and this is where I'm going to hold. You can use, I could use that footstool as well. A chair, an exercise bench is obviously ideal, but we're just going to hold this here and take some deep breaths. Think about connection breath, but more so just think about breathing deeply. Really try and think about the pelvic floor relaxation here as you inhale. I won't worry too much about the exhale. I just want you to practice the relaxation. I'm going to hold here for a few more moments. Let's hold for 5, 4, 3, 2, and 1. Good. And bring yourself down. So we're on hands and knees. Actually, we could have stepped up from here. And we're going to come back up 1 foot at a time to pull yourself back up to standing. All right. Let me find my seat. We are just about there for time. Don't quite have enough time to repeat the exercises, but that's okay. There was a lot of information here, lots and lots, which is great. We will practice some of these exercises again as the weeks go on, so it won't be just a, oh, we did this once and then never again. If you feel, you can always rewind back and watch the exercise portion again and just do it all again. But yeah, as we continue with the course, there will be more emphasis on the exercises rather than the chatting. So we'll do everything a few times. But I think that was really important to talk about. If you are experiencing really severe incontinence, I definitely urge you to reach out to a pelvic floor physiotherapist. My friend Karen is starting a practice in Simcoe. It's called Thrive Pelvic Health. I sent an email, or the email that went out a couple of weeks ago on Friday has her website where you can book online now. If you need that information again, please don't hesitate to reach out and I'll make sure you get that information. hopefully this was helpful and you enjoyed. Please let me know, leave me a comment, or if you're watching this live, you can shout out and let me know. Otherwise, we'll see you again next week for more pelvic floor fun. Thanks, everybody. Have a great day.
Thanks, Hannah. That was great.
Thank you. Thanks, everybody. I like to wait for somebody to say bye before I cut the class off, just to make sure everybody was still with me at the end.